Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live team. Today we're going to be talking about Everton's proposed stadium move to Bramley Docks. It is a Friday, it is a little bit of a chilled stream. Usually on Fridays we'd be doing the live game preview to whatever game we'd have on the Saturday, but luckily enough for Everton fans at the minute, we don't actually play this weekend. We don't now play until a week on Tuesday, I believe it is, so I've got a little bit of break away from the football, and I wanted to talk about the stadium move today because, as I'm sure a lot of you know, the recent figures for the first initial public consultation that happened in November have been released. The amount of completed questionnaires have been released, the percentage of Evertonians that, agree with the stadium move, as well as a really interesting figure about the percentage of non-Evertonians that actually agree with the move as well. And I thought, you know what, with the recent, obviously, issues that have been going on in Everton Football Club, obviously we done a live stream on Wednesday night where we spoke about those issues. We spoke about the fact that Marco Silva's been a little bit naive this season. We spoke about, maybe an issue regarding the board and sort of the hierarchy and why they're appointing managers that aren't good enough to take us to the levels that they are supposedly wanting us to be at. And we spoke about, some of the other, maybe some other issues that may be going on at the football club. So it's important that we speak about the positives as well. It's important that we don't just come on and, rant about the negatives and say, well, we're not playing well at the moment, so let's not think about the positives, because there is some positives regarding our football club at the minute. There's a couple of really good events that are going on at the minute and that will be going on in the future regarding Everton in the community. I know that the lads from Toffee TV, have gone over to Snowdonia today to do a zip line across a mountain for Everton in the community to raise funds for Everton in the community. And there is a zip line across Goodison Park on Saturday the 30th of March, I believe it is, which I'll be doing myself. I'll be there doing it, and that as well is to raise money for Everton in the community. So a couple of fantastic events there to raise money for an absolutely fantastic cause. And then obviously we've got the news on the stadium, which is really exciting for us Evertonians as well. So I'm just going to tweet the stream out so everybody on Twitter knows we are live. If you're in the live comments, don't be afraid to say hi. Massive thank you for all the support recently as well. The stream on Wednesday got over 300 views, I've just seen then, so massive thank you for that. And obviously we're on 370 subscribers now, so we're literally around the corner from 400, and it's just absolutely unbelievable. The support has been absolutely fantastic from everyone, so thank you all very much for that one. But yeah, like I said, suppose we'll jump straight into it. I just want to say I do apologise that the sort of figures on in the little news section there, I did try and have a little mess about with it earlier on and couldn't quite get it working for some reason or another. I don't know whether it's because I'm trying to put the information on a different application and then move it over to OBS, which is where I stream from and where I put all the setup together, and it's just not talking to it properly. I'm not too sure, but I'll definitely be getting that looked at and sorted for obviously the next coming games and stuff, because obviously we'll have the predicted starting 11 over there, and then we'll have a little news section there as well. So I'll be working on that. I am working on that, hopefully in the next week or so. Hopefully by Monday's stream we'll have got that sorted and fixed and everything like that. So teeth and toothbrushes, 400 subscribers, face reveal. Here's my face, you've seen it, have it free on me. John says I didn't get a notification for this today. Oh, very strange, I don't know. I've just got an email myself to say I was live, so I'm not too sure, mate. I'm not too sure. But thank you anyway for being here, yourself and everybody else as well that is in the live comments. So I suppose we'll dive straight in to the figures. So 3 specific figures have been released by the club regarding the public consultation. Obviously, that happened at the beginning of November. Everton, of course, we'll talk a little bit about it first, I suppose. Everton, of course, released a questionnaire type consultation to all fans, not just fans of Everton Football Club, but all citizens of Liverpool, all, fans of our football club. And they said, listen, basically, we're planning on moving stadium. We're planning on the location being Bramley Docks. Here's a load of questions. What do you think about it? How important is it to you that we stay in Liverpool? How important is it to you we stay in North Liverpool? Do you believe Bramley Docks is a good location for the stadium? How important is it that the stadium hosts other events such as like concerts and things like that, as well as football matches, and all other questions like that? And we've had 3 figures released basically from the results of that consultation that are really positive. So the first one being 20,168 questionnaires were completed. Now this is massive. This obviously telling us that over 20,000, not just Evertonians, like I say, I want to stress not just Evertonians, but 20,000 fans in themselves, took the time out of their day to complete the consultation, which is obviously going to have a massive impact on the future of our football club. It really, really is, because listen, we all love Goodison Park, it's home, and we all know that it always will be home, and it always has been home, but there's no hiding the fact that it's not really fit for purpose at the minute. It's not in the right place, and it's definitely not somewhere we can stay if we're looking to take us forward, and if we're looking to obviously be winning the Premier League and challenging for the Champions League. As Denise Barrett-Baxendale has clearly stated, those are the aims of the football club, and if those are the aims of the football club in the next coming years, then we can't really ideally be in a stadium that only really holds 40,000, and at the minute isn't the most safe, let's be honest. So 20,168 questionnaires were completed. Like I said, again, that would have been from Evertonians, from non-Evertonians, from just citizens of the city. A load of them will have been from fans that don't even like football, or people that don't even like football, that took the time out of the day to give their opinion on this project. So another one is 94% agree Bramley Moordock is an appropriate location for the new stadium. Now this is massive. This is a massive statistic, because I think the whole reason behind Everton doing this public consultation, the whole reason behind Everton getting the fans involved and getting the people of the city involved and saying, listen, what do you want? How does this suit you? Is because I think there's been, over the years, there's been a lot of different sites, a lot of different locations banded about as, possibilities to hold the new Everton stadium. You had obviously Kirby, we've had a couple as well around Liverpool that, were banded about as potential locations. So I think it was really, really important that obviously when we broke the deal with Bramley Moordock, and when that got further and we managed to sort of realise that it probably realistically is going to be Bramley Moordock, it was important for the club that then the fans and the citizens of the city agreed with that as well, because if the questionnaire had to come back and I don't know 80% of them said no, we don't want Bramley Moordock, then the club would have obviously had to take that into consideration, go and look at the other potential sites, at the other potential locations, and think, okay, well, if the fans and the citizens of the city don't want Bramley Moor, where else can we look at? So it's really, really important now that the club are on the same page as the fans, and the people of the city are on the same page as the club and saying yes. 94% of course saying yes, it is an ideal location. And just as an Evertonian myself, just my personal opinion, I think it's an absolutely fantastic location. It's on the banks of the Royal Blue Mersey. Obviously it's going to be in town. It's going to produce a load of revenue, a load of business for the city. You're going to get people coming into the city to see a stadium on the docks, a football stadium on the water, and it's really, really going to help Everton Football Club as well, because it's a brand new stadium at the end of the day, and that's what we need. So why not have it on the banks of the water? Why not have it in the centre of the city, really, where it's really accessible? I know, okay, it might be a little bit of a pain in the arse to get to on match days, but in terms of the wider sort of situation, I think a lot of non-Evertonians will have agreed that this is a fantastic location, because there'll have been a lot of people who have filled these questionnaires, and specifically people like my grandma and granddad, for example, who don't watch football, don't like football at all, don't have any affiliation with a football team, but absolutely love Liverpool as a city, and they've seen that and gone, okay, a new stadium on the docks, that'll bring in loads of tourists, bring in loads of money, and bring in loads of obviously positive business for the city. Yeah, fantastic. So that is a massive statistic there. And the last one that was sort of the main ones that got released, that should we say, is 3 out of 4 non-Evertonians support club's plans for Bramley Moordock. So that is massively important. Like I said at the start of the team, it wasn't just Evertonians that were being asked. It wasn't just Evertonians that got these questionnaires. It was everybody sort of in and around the city. I'm not too sure. I know, we personally in my house had one posted out. I'm not sure how far Everton posted the questionnaires. I'm not sure whether they just posted them to season ticket holders or whether they posted them to residents within a certain radius of Goodison Park. I'm not too sure, but I know we definitely got a physical form posted. But nevertheless, anybody could go online and fill in the form online. Anybody could visit any of the little stores that were plotted about during the time, in town, in Liverpool, one in Edge Lane and things like that. So like I said, anybody that wanted to fill in this consultation could literally go online online and fill this in. So it's really, really important that, 3 out of 4 non-Evertonians, doesn't say Liverpudlians. I know one of the questions on the consultation was what football team do you support, but it had Everton, Liverpool, Tranmere. I think it had the 2 Manchester clubs as well, and then it had none. So it's important that, like I said, this isn't saying, 3 out of 4 Liverpool fans say, yeah, go ahead and build a stadium. This is 3 out of 4 non-Evertonians, and that could well be, people that don't watch football at all, people that don't have any affiliation with football at all. So, 3 out of 4 non-Evertonians that say, yes, it's a fantastic opportunity, and yes, it's a really, really good project, and we back it. That's absolutely fantastic, because it was always going to be simple for Evertonians. I think I'd say 90% of Evertonians are in the same boat as, yes, 100%, get it done, we want a new stadium, it'll look fantastic, it's on the docks, oh my god, unbelievable, yes, cannot wait. Whereas obviously it was always going to be different for other sets of fans, and for people that maybe don't like football. It was important that the club got the opinions of those people that weren't really interested in football, and seeing what they thought about us having a stadium on the docks as well. So that is an absolutely massive statistic, that 3 out of 4 non-Evertonians back the plans for Bramley Moor Docks. And I think what we can take from this public consultation, the first one, is that we've had really positive results from it in terms of how many people actually completed the questionnaire, how many people agree that Bramley Moor Dock is, an appropriate location. I think that pretty much solidifies the fact that it will be Bramley Moor, obviously going off the basis that all the planning permission can get done, and the funding and everything can get surfaced. I think Everton will now say, okay, this is where we want to be, this is where the people of the city want us to be, this is where Evertonians want us to be, this is where we want to be. So if we can get everything done, if we can get all the paperwork done, if we can get all that done, this is where the stadium is going to be. So I think that, that's pretty much solidified now. I'd say obviously it's not confirmed that it might never change. It might change because the people that own Bramley Moor might turn around and go, no, we don't want to do anything with it. But yeah, that's an absolutely massive statistic. And then obviously the 3 out of 4 non-Evertonians that back the plans as well is massive, of course, because it's important that, people of the city, understand the situation, and that people of the city obviously, want the project to go ahead. Because listen, there'll be people that live around Bramley Moor Dock that mightn't like football at all, mightn't have any affiliation to football at all. That will have been important for these to fill these surveys in and fill this questionnaire in, because they might say, you know what, I don't really want a football stadium outside my house, don't really want a football stadium outside my business office. But so it's really important that we get these statistic backs. I think the plan is now that obviously there'll be a little bit more progression with the situation, and then the club will probably send out another public consultation, which I would assume would be answering maybe some of the questions that were maybe had a little bit more of a negative response from the original consultation, or going further onto the questions that were answered so positively. If you think Bramley Moor Dock is the appropriate site, why do you think it's the appropriate site, so on and so forth. Teeth and toothbrushes, what's the minimum capacity would you like to see from a new stadium? My minimum, I know it was released a couple of months ago, literally from the club, that it's going to be around 52, expanding to 55, I think it was. Don't quote me on them, I think it was 52, expanding to 50, with a possible expansion to 55. Me personally, I want 60. To be honest with you, I really, really want 60, but I'd say a minimum of, 58, sort of 60, I'd say. For me, I understand why the club are going with a minimum of 52 and then rising to potentially 55. And it's really, really positive that there can be that rise, and the club are saying we can, build it at a certain capacity and then build onto it if we need to. It's really, really important that the stadium is now going to be designed to be able to be built on, rather than just saying it's 52 and that's all it's ever going to be, because we can't build on it. It's important that the club have come out and said, listen, we're initially going to go with 52. Some Evertonians might be happy with that, some Evertonians may be happy with that, but then, if need be, we can rise it. John says it was 55 up to 60. I'm not too sure it was up to 60, but I definitely know that it probably can go up to 60 if need be. I think it's a sore subject, I'd say, in some ways, because I think it's important that as Evertonians we understand that, listen, we all want a 60,000 seater stadium, we want a 70,000, we want an 80,000, we want the biggest stadium in the country. We don't want a stadium that's smaller than West Ham's, because we're a much bigger club than West Ham United. No disrespect to them, but we are. But I think you'd have to look at it on the flip side, looking at the club side and saying we don't want to be in a situation where we have 50 59, 60,000 seater stadium, and it looks empty. I'll use Manchester City's as a massive example. They bought obviously the stadium that was used for the Commonwealth Games, massive stadium, and it's pretty embarrassing watching a Manchester City home game because of how many empty seats there are, and that's because they simply just don't have the fans to fill that stadium. And I don't want Everton to get into the same boat of people looking going, hey, look at the empty seats, can't even fill the stadium. I'd rather us have a capacity of maybe 55, fill it every week, and then go, okay, we can build on that now, we can build on that and see where our limit is, rather than going straight into it, because it's obviously it's easier for us to build on the stadium rather than to take seats away if we're not filling it. Shabba says it's great that it looks almost like we'll end up there, but it's bugging me that we'll only have 52,000 capacity. Exactly, and for me that's not ideal either. I don't want 52,000 capacity. I'd rather have 55, I'd rather have 60, I'd rather have 65, but I think, having sat back and thought about it, you can see where the club are coming from, saying, yes, okay, you mightn't be happy with us starting at 52, but just so you know, if we fill 52 week in, week out, we can expand it to 55. It's really, really interesting, actually, because Dan Myers, who's the leading designer for the stadium, I said leading development officer last time, but he's not, that's a different person. He's the designer for the stadium. He actually come out in one of his first interviews talking about Bramley Moors and said one thing is to notice that once it's built, it won't be able to be expanded on. It's not going to be a stadium that you can build on in the future, whereas now the club are coming out saying we can build on it in the future. So there's obviously been some conversations there. There's obviously been some discussions between the club and between Dan Myers saying, listen, we want to start it at this number, but we want to be absolutely clear that if we need to expand it, we will expand it. David says 52k start and potentially with safe standing to go up to 62k max. Exactly, and safe standing's another topic to talk about. Rail seating is another topic to talk about with the stadium. All these different components that could have a 52,000 seater stadium literally increase to a 58,000 seater stadium on day one if these little components, for example, if rail seating is, I know there's a law around it at the minute in England, if rail seating is made legal or the law is passed on it, and we decide to use it at Bramley Moor, our stadium could literally go from 12 o'clock in the day before a 3 o'clock kickoff being a 52,000 seater, and at the 3 o'clock kickoff being a 58,000 seater. It could expand, like that. But again, that's something that would have to be passed, and that's something that would have to be designed while designing the stadium. It's not going to be a short process. It's not going to be something that gets released within the next coming weeks or months. Like I said, it's going to be a long process. It's really, really positive that we've got these figures from the first consultation. It's really, really positive that the club have actually released them and come out and said, listen, 94% of you think that it's an ideal place, and 3 out of 4 non-Evertonians back it as well. It's really, really important that we can look at that and go, okay, that's a little bit of positivity, while every week we're watching poor performances, and at the minute, performances that really aren't good enough from a set of players that mightn't be good enough, we're then getting positive news on the end of it. So it's important that we talk about it, we look at it and go, you know what, that's fair enough that, it's now seeming that the club, the fans, and just general people of the city are on the same page, which is obviously really, really important. Shabba says, look, you can dress it up as much as you like. It shows a total lack of ambition, and that's fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough, and I do agree with you to a point, Shabba. I do agree. I think, if our ambition, and this is really, really, it confuses me a little bit with our football club, because on one side you've got Denise Barrett-Baxendale saying our ambition is to, be winning the Premier League in the next 4 or 5 years. Our ambition is to be challenging for the Champions League in the next 4 or 5 years. You've got that, but on the other side, you've then got us saying, well, we only really want a 52k seater stadium, and we're happy with sort of where we are at the minute in the league, which is poor performances. So it's a little bit of a contradiction for myself. I do agree with you. I think it does show a little bit of a lack of ambition, but I also, in a little way, can understand where the club are coming from. But I was disappointed. I sat here when the number was released, 52,000, and I thought, it's just a bit flat, innit? You're wanting 60, you're wanting 65, you're wanting, let's go and absolutely smash it out and take the risk, and let's go and, go for it and just say, you know what, we're going to build a massive piss-off stadium on the banks of the Royal Blue Mersey, and it's going to look boss. And we're going to be sitting in there every week going, this is boss. And we're going to be watching a team that are challenging for the Premier League every single season, and in the Champions League every single season. That is ideally what we'd want to feel, want to see. But whether that will happen is a total different question. I've just got a text, from the tax saying I'm owed some money. But I think it's definitely a scam because it's vehicle tax and I don't drive. Sorry about that. I just literally come through on my phone and I was like, it's a little bit strange. But yeah, so yeah, I do totally understand your point, Shabba. I really, really do. If you're enjoying this team so far, please do leave a like, rating, subscribe if you are new to the channel as well. I think we're 30 subscribers away from 400, so the support has been absolutely unbelievable. So please do subscribe if you haven't already. Football Fan Fever says Goodison is not a nice stadium, I must say. I disagree with you, mate. Goodison is an absolutely fantastic stadium and is one of the best stadiums in the country, and that's just not me saying it from a biased point of view. That's actual honesty, and if you ask a lot of football fans that aren't Everton fans, they'll agree with that as well. But an opinion's an opinion, and that's absolutely fair enough. Shabba says, damn Dan Myers, he's got about 3 projects on the go and we're at the bottom of the pile. Yeah, and that tends to what happens when we employ or you employ somebody that is working on other projects as well and other football club stadiums as well. I think it's important that the club meet with Dan Myers very regularly and say, listen, we've got this public consultation in now. We know that majority of the fans want it to be at Bramley more. We know that other citizens of the city that aren't Everton fans also would like it to be at Bramley more. Let's get it designed now. Let's see what you've got on paper. Go away and put some designs on paper and let's see what you've got. Let's see how maybe the rail seating can work. Let's see how maybe safe standing can work. Let's see what the stadium is going to look like. Let's see how this possible expansion would look like as well. Kevin says you can't build a stadium with a capacity of 60, 70, 80 when you can't fill it. Look at City and how often do you see their stadium jam-packed. Exactly, and that brought that point up a little bit earlier, 100%. Kevin, that's a really, really good point, and like I said, you don't see City Stadium absolutely jam-packed, and they're winning titles every single season. They're challenging in the biggest competitions every single season, so it is important that we don't sort of get too ahead of ourselves and end up embarrassing ourselves in the long run. Teeth and Toothbrush says, are you concerned that moving to a new ground will affect the future atmosphere? A lot of Arsenal, West Ham, Man City, etc. fans wish they were still at their old ground. There is a worry. I think, to be honest, at the minute, I think the atmosphere at Goodison Park has been really, really flat of recent years. I'm not even going to say recent weeks or months. I'm going to say years. Since really the old days of David Moyes, when the team would have a little bit of passion, have a little bit of fight, and the fans would get involved, and it would really be everybody. It would be Everton versus the world. Back under the days of David Moyes. Now that, obviously football has changed massively since then, the atmosphere at Goodison Park has become, a lot flatter. And, okay, maybe the City game a couple of weeks ago was probably the best atmosphere I've seen at Goodison in a while. But, like I said, the atmosphere at the minute at Goodison isn't particularly fantastic anyway. Maybe going to a new stadium, it would be worse. It's potential. Obviously, West Ham had a massive issue with it when they moved stadium a few seasons ago, where they had a really, really good atmosphere at the Bowling Ground. They then moved to the London Stadium, and it just went that way, and they started to struggle in the league because of it, and the players started to struggle clearly because of it. Like I said, I haven't been impressed with Goodison's atmosphere, to be honest, for a number of seasons now, about 3 or 4 seasons, maybe even longer than that. So again, it's definitely, it's a worry because it's a general worry with moving stadium that, will the atmosphere be, affected? It's a general worry with moving stadium of, is it going to feel like home? Because nothing will ever feel as good as Goodison feels. The day we leave Goodison, I've openly admitted it, I'll say it now and I've said it before, I'll cry because Goodison is home. I've been going to Goodison since I was a little child, and I will be going to Goodison until the day that I'm stopped at the gate, until the day that they turn around and go, it's shut, mate, you can't come back in. Until that day, I'll be going week in, week out to Goodison Park, so it's going to be massively emotional, and it's important that this new stadium isn't just a flashy, oh, look at our brilliant, stadium that's made for tourists to come in and look at and go, wow. It's important that it feels like home to Evertonians, because first and foremost, yes, it's really, really good that 3 out of 4 non-Evertonians, love the plans. Yes, it's really, really good that it'll bring, tourists to the city, and it will bring people coming into the city to look at the stadium, but at the end of the day, bollock all of that off. If it doesn't mean home to Everton fans, if it doesn't feel like home to us, then it's just not right for me. It just isn't right, and that's what it needs to feel first and foremost before anything else is considered. This stadium needs to be designed and needs to be created in a way that the club can sit there and go, our fans are going to love this, our fans are going to feel at home, they're going to feel the atmosphere, they're going to get behind the players, and they're going to want to enjoy coming to the stadium week in, week out. It's going to be home. Yes, it probably will never feel like Goodison will, because it will be incredibly tough to match what Evertonians feel towards Goodison Park, but it needs to feel like that. It needs to have that home element of it. I don't just want a stadium that it feels like you're going to a neutral stadium week in, week out, but you're just watching Everton. Shabba says, that text was from me, Cam, you owe me €2. I'll get them sent over, mate, as soon as possible. I do apologise about that. No, I don't know what's going on, to be honest. It's definitely a scam. It definitely is a scam, because I don't drive. Tax gov, not into that. Don't know. We'll have to see if £383 goes into my bank in the next few days. I suppose we'll see. David says the stadium is being designed to hold an atmosphere, which is why the footprint won't be able to be altered in the future, as Dan is maxing the space without it being a bowl. Fair enough, and that's maybe what Dan Myers has come out and said. Listen, maybe he's come out and said to the club, I don't want to be able to expand on the stadium because I want it to be very, enclosed. I want it to be bigger than Goodison Park. I want it to be, grander and looking brand new and looking, sparkly and all of that sort of jazz. But I want it to be enclosed, and I want it to feel like, an intimidating stadium for away teams to come to. And that's fair enough, and I understand that. But then it contradicts the fact that the club are coming out now saying 52 rising to 55. Whether the club are just saying, oh, we'll stick the rising to 55 in so that fans don't really get too agitated over the 52, even though a lot of fans did, and I understand that, and, I did as well. But, like I said, it's strange that Dan Myers come out in the first sort of months of the project and said it's not going to be expandable, and now the club are coming out saying, well, it is going to be expandable. It shows that there's currently ongoing conversations with obviously Dan Myers and the club, and I don't think anybody knows at the minute how the stadium is going to look and whether it's going to be expandable or not. So maybe that's the club's ambition, maybe that's our ambition as fans, especially if it's starting at 52. For me, it definitely needs to be expandable, because we need to be able to expand to the 55s, the 60s, the 65s if we're able to do so. But again, it's another topic that's in the air at the moment. Just to finish up the stream, just before we go, because we've been on for about 25 minutes now, I just want to say, listen, it's really, really important. Obviously, we've done Wednesday's live stream, and Wednesday's live stream was a little bit negative. It was a little bit ranty. It was a little bit, what are the issues at the football club? Why isn't Marco Silva doing, as expected? What's going on with Farhad Mashiri? Why are they employing managers that, aren't taking us to the next level? What, the roles of Duncan Ferguson and stuff like that. So it's important that, we came here today and we sat and we spoke about the stadium, and because this is massively positive. This is massive for our football club going forward. It really, really is. We all know, let's not hide away from it, we all know we need a new stadium. We all know we want a new stadium. So it's really, really important that there's that communication between the club and the fans to say, listen, you want a new stadium, we want a new stadium, here's a consultation, fill that in. Okay, we've got that back, brilliant, here's the results to that. So now fans can go, okay, we've seen what's going on here. There's that communication between the club. Obviously, the People's Project is absolutely unbelievable. That's the project that currently is obviously sorting out the consultations and working with fans, to get their thoughts on the stadium. Not just Everton fans, but fans of other football clubs, people from the city. So it's really, really important that we talk about this positive news, and we bring this to light. Like I mentioned at the start of the stream, there's a lot of positivity going around our football club at the minute, although it is tough to see because of the negativities that you see on the pitch week in, week out. Listen, there's some fantastic events going on to do with Everton in the community. Like I mentioned at the start of the team, I know the lads from Toffee TV are jumping off Snowdonia today to raise funds for Everton in the community. So a massive good luck to them and a massive well done to them. I assume they've already done it by now. That's really, really tough. I'd be a little bit scared myself to jump off a mountain, I'm not going to lie. But like I said, that's massive. The zip line that's coming to Goodison Park again, people, fans can sign up and zip line from one end of Goodison to the other. I'll be doing it. I'll be there. I think it's Saturday the 30th of March. Again, raising money for Everton in the community. So two really, really positive events that are going on there in the space of, like a month and a little bit. And then obviously all the information coming out about the stadium, and, the fans are getting involved and fans are being kept in the loop about what's going on. It would have been very easy for Everton to have got those results back and gone, oh yeah, 94%, agree with it. Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. All right, we'll keep that to one side and then we'll just send another one out. But they didn't. They said, here's the results. Here's what you're looking at. Here's what you have agreed to. Here's what everybody that filled in the questionnaire is, has said they want, has said they think is right, and now us as fans can go, right, we're all sorted on the same page here. The club are on the same page, us as fans are on the same page. Let's get it going now. Let's get some first initial designs in place. Let's really work on getting the funding. Let's really work on getting the ground permission and things like that as well. Let's get this project underway. Where are we? Shabba says, it's disheartening when we wait 300 years for a stadium, then we get one with a capacity just above Marine and just below Southport, for fuck's sake. Fair enough. Like I said, I understand the frustration, and I echoed it, certainly, when the number was first released, definitely. David says 52k is just seating, that is fixed. It can only grow with safe standing. Yeah, and again, fair enough. But again, you know, you've seen them lot across the park in the last 6 months, 8 months, expand their stadium, seating wise, you know, build a whole brand new main stand on it. So anything is possible really in this day. But like you said, the safe standing and the rail seating situations are going to be massive to this stadium. You know, if those laws, or I don't want to go into it too much because I don't know an awful lot about it, and obviously it's a very, very sensitive subject. But if, you know, safe standing, let's say, rail seating is passed and we can use it in the new stadium, it's going to be massive, and it really, really is going to help. I'd say help increase the atmosphere and help increase the capacity as well. But of course, those things have to be done in the right manner, and they have to be done in the right way to make sure that they are safe, and to make sure that, you know, it's, you know, we can do it in the right way, and there's no confusion and there's no complication there. Of course, Shabba says, thanks for another stream, Cam. If it wasn't for you, I would have given up on Everton this season a long time ago. Thank you very much, Shabba. That really, really does mean a lot. I'm glad that my face and me ranting and raving about us week in, week out can help, you know, everybody else get over it as well. It really, really does help me get over it. Those instant match reactions, I'm telling you, the game reviews and previews are great, but after a game when we've been beaten, that 2 or 3 minutes, 4 minutes to just rant about the game really, really does help me just forget about it then and get over it. But a massive, massive thank you, Shabba. It really, really does mean a lot. And everybody else in the live chat as well, a massive thank you to you as well. But that is going to do it for this live stream anyway. A massive, massive thank you to everybody for getting involved once again in the live chat. If you have enjoyed the stream, please do leave a like. Subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. Really, really close to 400 subscribers now, so if we could hit that in the near future, that would be absolutely fantastic. If you're watching this as a YouTube video afterwards, of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll be replying to comments all night, all tomorrow, and obviously it'll be really, really interesting to hear what you guys have to say about the figures that have been released from the first initial public consultation. And of course, it'll be really, really interesting to see what goes on going forward now, and what the club decide to do with maybe another consultation, and how the sort of stadium move, you know, it progresses now. Let's see where we go from here, because it's really, really important that we carry on building and we carry on, you know, getting towards this. It's very, very clear that Evertonians, Everton as a football club, other you know, citizens of the city that mightn't support Everton or mightn't follow football, it's very clear that we're all on a very similar page, if not the same page. So let's take this project now and let's absolutely run with it. But anyway, that is going to do it from me. A massive, massive thank you for watching. A massive thank you to everybody in the live chat as per usual. I'll be back on Monday for another live stream around about 6:15, so make sure you join me for that one. Like I said, no game this weekend, so we can actually sit back, chill, relax, not have to worry, not have to stress, not have to panic. We can just sit there and go, it's nice to have a nice relaxing weekend without Everton being beaten by an average football team in the Premier League. But yeah, back in action next Tuesday, a week on Tuesday coming up. Obviously, we'll be speaking about the Cardiff City game in all its glory before that, and we'll have a couple of more streams before that as well to talk about some other situations that are going on at the football club. But anyway, that is going to do it from me. A massive, massive thank you for watching. Don't forget to join me on Monday at 6:15. A massive thanks to everybody in the live chat as per usual. If you have enjoyed the stream, please do leave a like, subscribe if you are new. If you're watching this as a video afterwards, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll get replying to them all night as well. But that's going to do it from me. A massive thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.